I'm Susan from Tarjac. You may know us as the source for the best camo for your guns and bows, but we do so much more. Our custom work with automotive parts can transform any vehicle, our ATVs, sleds, four-wheelers, motorcycles. We've received national recognition for our work with Orange County Choppers, and we are most proud of our partnership with the future servicemen by providing customized helmets for the Army-Navy game. From the national stage to your favorite hunting ground, it's Tarjac.
Hello and welcome to the CNY Business Connection. I'm Jason Weinstein. Coming up on this week's show, why the conflict continues when it comes to hydrofracking in New York State as the state assembly makes a big decision. Plus, Governor Cuomo says his administration taking a step closer to pension reform. But we'll begin with the latest in business news from around the area.
Governor Andrew Cuomo is pushing pension reform legislation that would impose a new Tier 6 for future employees and save taxpayers $93 billion over the next 30 years, according to the governor's office. That figure does not include New York City. The proposed reforms will reduce costs for local governments and schools and help get control of property taxes for homeowners and businesses across the state, Cuomo said. The new pension tier will increase the retirement age for new employees from 62 to 65, increase employee pension contributions to 6%, and end so-called pension padding, in which employees accumulate substantial amounts of overtime in their final years of service to increase their pension, according to the governor's office. The Civil Service Employees Association is criticizing the plan, saying it will place an undue burden on the lowest paid employees in public employment. Upstate New York's consumer confidence level climbed 4 points in May to 63, according to the latest monthly survey from the Siena College Research Institute. The upstate figure was 4.6 points below the statewide consumer confidence level of 67.6, which is up 2.7 points from April. New York's confidence index was 6.7 points lower than the figure for the entire nation, which was up more than 4 points from April, as measured by the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index. In SRI's monthly analysis of gas and food prices, 83% of upstate respondents said the price of gas was having a serious impact on their monthly budgets, which was unchanged from April. It's not an inviting job market out there for many graduates these days, and some young people are beginning to question the financial payback of an investment in higher education. But at Broome-Tioga BOCES, during graduation ceremonies, a number of graduates who haven't given up on the promise of their piece of the American dream are set to enter the workforce, and they say BOCES has given them a head start.
Much more than I was before. I have a wide understanding of computer tech now. It's great.
It opened my eyes a lot because, like, before I thought it was like when you did something in the class, you had to do specifically that, but you could do so much stuff out of video production, it's ridiculous.
It set me up really well because I was looking at my future of what I'm going to be doing in the future, how it's going to affect me, what I have to be prepared for, and you meet a lot of great people and you get to know a lot of contacts.
The New York State Assembly has put a further halt on gas drilling, and many environmentalists are hailing the State Assembly's passage of a moratorium on hydrofracking until June of 2012. But State Representative Donna Lupardo voted against the moratorium and has her own bill under consideration. She said the Department of Environmental Conservation should be allowed to proceed with its environmental review of the process without state legislators butting in.
And I feel that we should let them finish their work before we decide what to do next. I also think it sends a bad message that, we don't have faith in what they're doing. So I just want to suspend all judgment and wait to see what they come back with.
Lupardo, meanwhile, is sponsoring a bill that would make sure that property assessments don't skyrocket because of the potential value of natural gas beneath the land.
The final slice made by Matt Anderson, signaling the official startup of New England Wood Pellets deposit plant. Matt was among dozens thrown out of work when Norboard shut this place down 2 years ago. Now he's plant manager.
It's a cleaner process, more modern, streamlined, so there is a positive effect on morale. Guys definitely feel better coming to work, working in a nice facility like this compared to the old Norboard facility.
For months, Matt and 15 others who were also rehired personally retrofitted the building with new machines that dry and pelletize waste hardwood from local mills. The system was designed by company CEO Steve Walker, a wood pellet zealot when it comes to displacing imported oil.
I'm the only guy that likes to see the price of oil go up. You don't make a lot of friends that way, but in the end, yeah, we do. We end up moving a lot more product. We have a lot more capacity here than we have customers, and we're selling energy for approximately half the price of fuel oil or propane right now.
95% of the energy it takes to accomplish all of that comes from burning wood waste that isn't quite good enough to pelletize. The other 5% comes from electricity. Eventually, even that may be generated by waste heat from the wood dryer. Soon, with a workforce of 20, the plant will run round the clock, churning out enough pellets to heat 25,000 homes a year. Annual total of payroll and purchases, $10 million. Well worth the Industrial Development Agency's efforts to issue a $9.5 million bond.
We went through all the paperwork process, did the financing for them. The bank bought the bonds, released the funds, and here we are today.
We hope you enjoyed that. When we come back, the battle over fracking continues, sometimes pitting neighbor against neighbor.
I'm Norm Poltenson. I've published the Central New York Business Journal for 25 years. Our success is based on the fact that we know only one audience, owners and managers of businesses in Central New York. We publish stories for them, we don't offer sound bites, and we always source our information. Maybe technology's changed since I started publishing 25 years ago, but not our mission. You can always rely on the Central New York Business Journal providing your business news.
Welcome back. The neighbor versus neighbor conflict continues over hydrofracking in many municipalities in New York State. Steve Craig has the story of one.
Dairy farmer and Sanford Supervisor Dewey Decker has leased land for gas wells, and he lives right across the road from where XTO Energy wants to get its fracking water, if and when shale gas extraction is approved. It's Oquaga Creek, known for trout, part of the basin that quenches the thirst of New York City.
They indicated pretty much that it's the best stream in the whole Delaware system. So what we're doing, we must be doing a good job. And yet, when we look at it to have some kind of a income from it, to help our economy here, they deny us the opportunity.
They are opponents of fracking, including Melissa Bishop, a recent arrival from Long Island, who came here for
the emphasis on the natural beauty, the natural resources, the fact that it's a trout fishing paradise.
She thinks fracking could ruin all that. Decker disagrees and doesn't think fracking itself should even be a part of the current debate. He says permission to draw water has strings attached. Every single second, 61 cubic feet of water passes by here. In periods of dry weather, that goes down to under 1 cubic foot of water per second. If XTO were to get permission to withdraw 250,000 gallons per day from here, the company would have to guarantee that the stream continued to have a flow of at least 8 cubic feet per second, or about 9 times the recorded minimum flow.
There's going to be another hearing that's going to deal with the fracking. And so this issue should be, it should be on just what the issue really is, and that's the draw.
It's easy to say that this is only an issue of water withdrawal, but it is not, because the water will be used for fracking. XTO Energy makes no bones about that. It said that's what the water is going to be used for. You cannot have the fracking without the water.
Bishop says that for now, she sides with DEC Chief Joe Martens, who waded into the debate yesterday with a letter requesting that permission for water draws be postponed until the completion of the New York environmental review process. Governor Cuomo has ordered the next step in that process, the second draft of what's called the Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement, be completed by July 1st.
Is there an alternative to hydrofracking? That's a question explored at an event at the Riverwalk Hotel in Binghamton. The symposium featured guest speakers to discuss the effects of hydrofracking on area water sources. These speakers even provided ideas for alternative methods of natural gas extraction. The event's keynote speaker, author and ecologist Sandra Steingraber, and author Robert White stressed the importance of protecting water sources.
It's not only that the risk to the people in the Binghamton area, the public health, especially to children and unborn babies, is at risk here, but also the public health of the people of Baltimore who live downstream and depend on the water for the Susquehanna. So we're responsible to future generations, but we're also just responsible, I believe, to the people who literally live downstream from us.
And all the research I did is how precious our water is and how limited it is. We think it's just an unlimited resource, and it absolutely is not. And we have to be so very careful about how it's used, abused, reused.
And as an example of the differing opinions on this issue, at a recent music festival in Binghamton meant to educate the public on hydrofracking, the many opinions that people share came into conflict.
I'm just hoping that people realize, that this is a very important cause and that they feel called to educate themselves.
I encourage dialogue. I'll talk to anybody about the issue, and I hope people come here, go to all the tables and get all the information they can.
We brought a Geiger counter. We have pieces of the Marcellus, all different stones from around. Show how it isn't the big bad thing that is being presented. We like to base everything on facts and show facts, and that's what we do. If the EPA is looking into this, which we've all asked them to do, and they're coming back finding that there isn't an issue, that's good. That's what we want to see. If it's done right and safely, it can both benefit everybody all the way around. It'll benefit all of our communities.
We all love New York State. We live here, and we love our community, and we love the environment that we depend on.
Where fracking hasn't been the issue. There's been gas migration, there's been issues like that. If there's a problem, you're going to see it on the surface, and one of the things we advocate for is to also have liners put on the well pads so that anything that does spill stays on the well pad and can be cleaned up.
Industry has been saying that for years, and it's about as close to a lie as you can get. What they're talking about is the contamination problems are generally related to casing or a spill or human error or just plain bad practices. But the fact is, as hydrofracking is just part of the process of extracting the gas from the formation. And the whole process is flawed along the way.
Time now to step aside, but when we come back, the definition of an entrepreneur from someone who funds them.
I'm Norm Poltenson. I've published the Central New York Business Journal for 25 years. Our success is based on the fact that we know only one audience, owners and managers of businesses in Central New York. We publish stories for them, we don't offer sound bites, and we always source our information. Maybe technology's changed since I started publishing 25 years ago, but not our mission. You can always rely on the Central New York Business Journal providing your business news.
Welcome back. Time now for a bit of business wisdom from someone who has lived it, thanks to our friends at Prendismo.com, partnering with entrepreneurs for success. And for this week's bit of business wisdom, the definition of an entrepreneur from someone who funds them.
When I think of entrepreneur, attitude comes to mind right away. What do you mean by attitude? Well, it's the personal characteristics you bring to the table. You got to be confident in what you're doing. So I need somebody that, when you're an entrepreneur, you almost have a mental image of somebody who is confident. They believe in what they're doing. They like what they're doing. They're doing everything to make it succeed. They believe it's going to succeed. So you have that's number one. Familiarity and comfort with risk. It's never a straight line when you're developing an early stage company. So you have to be comfortable with that. Certain personalities are and certain aren't. I mean, when things go off the track even a few degrees, some people fall to pieces, and you've got to be able to accept that your journey is going to be a little bit of a winding road, and be comfortable with that. Revel in it. Enjoy it. Perseverance, absolutely critical. So that's the image that I get of an attitude of someone who's has a likelihood of succeeding as an entrepreneur.